Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Suited Shootist. We're kind of doing a throwback, more full length today, and it's because I want to talk about the one-handed draw. There's a few instances where you may have to draw a pistol one-handed, and there's a couple of main methods that I've seen presented throughout the classes I've taken, and I wanted to talk about the one that I've personally settled on and why. So if you have taken any amount of pistol training beyond sort of the introductory, you're likely to have encountered some conversation in terms of drawing the pistol with one hand because the other one may be busy doing something. You may, if you are a parent or an uncle, if there is some small mammal that you're in charge of, you may be dealing with them with this hand as you then have to retrieve the pistol with the other. Or you also could potentially be entangled, and if you are cinched up with somebody, either you're physically controlling them or this is some kind of fending or blocking position, because when you're within punching distance, dropping both your hands, not the best idea. So the two major techniques that I've seen presented are going to be kind of the lift and pin, as I call it, and then there's one that's more of a J hook. The lift and pin, I'm personally not the biggest fan of, and that's just because for me it feels like there's a slightly wide, there's more of a margin of error or opportunity for error, rather because the idea being you grab your shirt, pin it in place with your elbow, and then drive down to the gun. You're not necessarily going to miss this part of it necessarily, but depending on how much shirt fabric you've got and a couple of other things, it may not necessarily work out, and you're also in this kind of weird torqued up position that I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I know there are plenty of folks for whom it does. My preference, however, is the J hook. And the first time I remember this being presented as such was when I took John Valentine's concealed carry combatives class. And it's exactly that, where instead of going straight up, what you're doing is grabbing the hem and you're kind of doing this J hook motion. And what you're doing is you are actually getting the shirt behind the gun so that you can then come down on it. And even if there's a little bit of something there, it's going to clear itself during the presentation. In case anybody is concerned, this is a completely empty Glock 19. So now, in order for it to be as successful as possible, you can do this with just about anything when the gun's in the holster, because the gun is part of what you're tucking the shirt behind. However, there's a reason why I'm not doing this with my Filster Enigma, because I would rather be able to take this off easily and show you that having a high sweat guard on the holster. Now this is the Darkstar Apollo, and it has it on both sides so that it's ambidextrous, but having a high sweat guard on the body side of the holster can really help this, because what that allows you to do is you've got this big old tongue of Kydex that you are bringing the shirt behind and holds it in place even when there's no pistol there. The added advantage is that it holds the shirt in place so that once you're done doing whatever it needs doing and you go back to the holster, it is easier to see your path back, confirm that the holster is still unobstructed so that you can holster safely. And the reality is while I have not put these both on the timer yet, unfortunately, most of the range facilities that I have ready access to don't allow for holster work. So, that's a factor. But I've not seen an appreciable difference between them. There may be, fractional tenths of a second, but nothing that's really going to matter. So when it comes to drawing the pistol one-handed, it's not necessarily quite as efficient, but I vastly prefer this. This, however, is a reason why I don't like the plastic J hooks, because they can come off of the belt and the whole holster can come with it. Admittedly, I didn't actually seat this so that the teeth were over my belt. I just kind of lazily stuck it back in there. But that's the kind of thing that can happen. Yes, I'm leaving the cut in because it's a teachable moment. These are the types of failures that you can experience. This is why on all of the holsters that I actually use for carry, the discrete carry concept clips are the ones that go on all of them. I need to get a set for these. This was just kind of a T&E holster that was sent to me by Tom over at Dark Star for me to check out. And so I haven't run it quite as vigorously as as some of my other stuff, because again, those RCS hooks just don't grab the way that I really want them to. Bring it back to what we're talking about. Like I said, this works pretty much across the board. And here's the other thing that I like about it, is that it works regardless of the fabric that you're working with on the shirt. I have seen a tendency whenever people are drawing up, it is not uncommon for them to draw up and away from the body. Now, these are range shirts from Beretta, so there is some stretch to them. And even though, they're kind of right at the crest of my glute, there's enough stretch to get away with this. If it was a traditional either dress shirt, which you should not wear dress shirts untucked because they're too long. Quite frankly, this is a bit too long for me. I really should get it hemmed by, maybe about 2 inches, besides the point. But if you're wearing a traditional, cotton or linen or some other kind of woven fabric, you're not necessarily going to get this kind of stretch out of it. And so you might lose the necessary range of motion, where with this over and, the over top, you're not working against the weave of the fabric. You're kind of working with the cut. And, there just seems to be a little bit more room. I've had more success with this across a wider range of fabrics. Occasionally, I'll have this hang up if there's no stretch to the fabric. So those are my main reasons for preferring the J-hook draw to the lift and pin. What do you guys think? What's your preferred method? I want to hear about that as well. Other than that, I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay dangerous and stay sharp.